A hand turns over an oak leaf and freezes at the sight of a round green ball clinging to the surface like a marble that should not be there. It is smooth, pale, and almost too perfect, as if something pressed itself into the leaf and stayed. Nearby, another leaf carries a cluster of speckled brown bumps. Another has a brittle sphere with a tiny round hole drilled through its side. On a twig, a rough swelling breaks the clean line of the bark. On the underside of a leaf, a fuzzy patch looks less like plant tissue and more like something waiting. At first glance, none of this feels harmless. These strange balls can look like eggs. They can look like a disease. They can look like parasites attached to a tree that was healthy yesterday. And because they appear on a familiar oak, in a yard, along a sidewalk, or beside a porch, the instinct is immediate. Pick them off. Remove the problem before it spreads. Protect the tree. Clear away the strange growth before whatever made it gets worse. But that first instinct is usually pointed in the wrong direction. Most of these growths are oak galls, and on healthy established oaks, many of them are not the emergency they appear to be. They are not fruit. They are not eggs glued onto the outside. They are not some random tumor the tree produced by mistake. They are plant tissue, made by the oak itself, but shaped under the influence of something much smaller. Hidden inside many oak galls is the life of a tiny insect, often a gall wasp or a midge, so small it could go unnoticed, even if it crossed the back of a hand. The insect does not bring a little house to the leaf. It does not carve out a shelter. It does not build the ball from wax or mud or silk. Instead, it changes the way the oak grows. At just the right moment, when the leaf, bud, twig, or other plant part is still developing, the insect interferes with the oak's normal growth signals. The tree responds with its own cells. Those cells multiply, swell, organize, and form a structure that can be round, spiky, fuzzy, hard, soft, green, red, brown, or speckled. The gall is not sitting on the leaf. The gall is the leaf, redirected. That is the part that makes oak galls so strange. The marble-like ball is not an object attached to the plant. It is a custom chamber grown from living oak tissue, formed around a hidden life cycle, and by the time the gall is easy to see, the important event has already happened. The oak has already responded. The structure has already begun to take shape. Somewhere inside, there may be a larva feeding, growing, sealed away from rain, wind, and many predators by walls made from the tree that surrounds it. The suspicious blemish on the leaf becomes evidence, not evidence that the oak is failing. Evidence that an ancient interaction is unfolding in miniature, in plain sight, on a leaf most people would walk past without noticing. The round gall is cut open, and the smooth outside gives way to a layered interior with a small chamber tucked near the center. Inside that chamber, the mystery becomes less like a disease and more like a nursery. A female gall wasp may have visited the oak when its tissue was young and responsive, laying an egg into a leaf, bud, stem, flower, acorn, or even root at exactly the right stage. The wasp was likely only a few millimeters long, almost invisible against the veins and shadows of the oak. But the effect of that visit was enormous. The larva did not build the gall. The oak built it, cell by cell, after its normal development was chemically redirected. That means the ball is made from the tree's own living tissue. It is not insect material. It is not a shell carried in from elsewhere. It is organized oak growth, shaped around the needs of the insect inside. The outer wall can be tougher, like a barrier. Deeper in, the tissue may be softer and richer, a food supply made by the same structure that protects the larva. The gall is not just a room. It is also a meal. As the larva grows, it feeds on the gall tissue around it, sealed inside a chamber built from the plant it has persuaded to serve it. Then, when development is complete, the adult insect cuts its way out. That tiny, neat, round hole in an old brown gall is not random damage. It is an exit door. Something lived there, changed there, and left. The shapes become clues. A round oak apple gall may hang from a leaf or twig like a small green fruit that later dries brown. A wool sour gall can look like a fuzzy cluster of pale seeds, especially on white oaks. Jumping oak galls are tiny seed-like structures that may fall from leaves and twitch or hop as larvae shift inside. Hedgehog galls and spiny galls bristle with points, turning a leaf into something that looks armored. These forms are not the oak improvising at random. Many gall-making insects are highly specific. A certain wasp may use a certain group of oaks. A gall's texture, color, location, season, and host tree can all become evidence, like tracks at a scene. The leaf is marked with a signature, and that signature can point toward the hidden maker. But the mystery deepens again, because some oak gall wasps do not live one simple life in one simple form. Many have alternating generations. One generation may be sexual, another asexual. One may form galls on leaves, while another forms entirely different galls on buds, stems, roots, or flowers. The two generations can look so unrelated that scientists once mistook them for separate species. So two strange growths on the same oak may not be two different problems. They may be two chapters of the same insect's life, and once a gall exists, it may stop belonging only to its maker. Parasitoid wasps can find the hidden larva and lay their own eggs into it. Inquilins can move in and feed on gall tissue without having caused the gall at all. Other tiny arthropods may shelter in abandoned chambers. Birds or small mammals may tear some galls open for the protein inside. The insect that formed the gall is not always the insect that emerges from it. A single oak gall can become a miniature apartment building, a pantry, a trap, a refuge, and a battlefield, all inside a swelling smaller than a marble. The plant-built chamber begins with one insect manipulating growth, but its consequences spread outward into a small food web. That is why picking them off usually misses the point. For most leaf galls on healthy, mature oaks, removal is unnecessary, and by the time the gall is visible, the process is already far along. Pulling it away does not undo the changed leaf tissue. Sprays rarely help in a home landscape because the timing would have to match the nearly invisible moment of egg-laying or early gall formation. The better care for an oak is not panic. It is steady support. Reduce drought stress, protect roots, and bark from injury. Avoid compacting the soil, and let the tree live within the community it was built to support. Because the oak is not just holding leaves, it is holding relationships. Gall wasps, caterpillars, beetles, parasitoids, birds, fungi, and countless small lives cross through its branches. The imperfect leaf is not always a warning that something has gone wrong. Sometimes it is proof that the tree is part of a living system, still complex enough to surprise us. The same oak leaf hangs in the light, and the round ball that first looked like a warning now sits there like a sealed door. It has not changed shape, but its meaning has changed completely. At the beginning, it was easy to see only a problem, a strange swelling, a blemish, a thing that did not belong, something to pinch between two fingers and remove before it spread. That reaction makes sense because gardens train people to look for damage, spots, holes, blisters, chewed edges, curled leaves, and anything that interrupts the clean idea of a perfect plant. But an oak gall asks for a slower look. That ball is not an invader stuck onto the leaf. It is not a packet of eggs glued to the surface. It is not a simple sign that the tree is sick. It is oak tissue, grown by the oak, after a tiny insect interrupted the plant's instructions and turned ordinary development into architecture. Inside that architecture, a larva may have fed in darkness. Around it, the gall wall thickened. The inner tissue became food. The chamber protected a body so small it could disappear against the grain of the bark. Then one day, if the larva survived the other lives searching for it, an adult insect cut a clean exit hole and entered the outside world. That tiny hole in a dry brown gall is the end of a hidden story, or maybe only the visible part of a larger one, because the gall may have held more than its maker. A parasitoid may have found it. An inquilin may have shared the tissue. A bird may have tested it with its beak. A spider or mite may later use the empty chamber as shelter. What looked like a flaw on one leaf may have been a room in a crowded, overlapping neighborhood. The oak does not stand apart from those lives. It supports them. A healthy oak can carry galls and still keep growing. It can lose some leaf tissue and still feed itself. It can host gall wasps, caterpillars, beetles, fungi, birds, and countless other organisms without being reduced to a damaged object. Its value is not in looking untouched. Its value is in the number of relationships it makes possible. So the question changes. Instead of asking, "How do I get rid of this?" it may be better to ask, "What is happening here?" A smooth green sphere on a leaf may be a nursery. A spiny swelling may be a signature. A fuzzy cluster may be evidence of a species that knows this oak more intimately than any passerby ever could. A dry gall with a round hole may be a finished chapter, the place where something small grew up and left. This does not mean every mark on every plant should be ignored. Young trees under heavy stress need care. Drought, compacted soil, root damage, and wounds can matter far more than a handful of leaf galls. But care does not always mean removal. Sometimes the most useful act is protecting the tree's strength and leaving the small mysteries alone. The hand moves toward the leaf again, but this time it does not pick the gall off. It pauses. The ball is still strange. It is still unexpected. It still looks almost unreal, like a marble grown from a vein. But now it is not just a blemish. It is a chamber made from the tree itself. It is a trace of chemical persuasion, insect timing, plant growth, survival, risk, and escape. The next time an oak leaf turns over and reveals one of these strange little worlds, the first impulse may still be suspicion. But then comes the second look, and in that pause, the leaf stops being something to fix and becomes something to read.